So, who really built the AI that's changing our world? You know, it wasn't just one company or some single eureka moment. It was a group of brilliant minds whose research literally became the blueprint for everything from ChatGPT to the tech and self-driving cars. Okay, let's dive in and meet the 15 most influential architects of modern AI.
First, just look at this number. Over 1 million. I mean, stop and think about that for a second. What does it even mean for a single scientist's work to be cited by other experts over 1 million times? It means their influence is almost unimaginable. It's a foundational impact that echoes through every single corner of the field. And that number? Yeah, that belongs to the person right at the very top of our list. And here they are, the 15 most cited AI researchers according to Google Scholar. Now, you might just see a list of names, but this isn't just a leaderboard. This list tells a story. It's a story about bold ideas, incredibly powerful collaborations, and the catalysts that turned academic theory into a full-blown global technological revolution. So our story kicks off with the thinkers, who didn't just tweak things, they fundamentally changed the entire game. These are the ones who established the core paradigm that powers pretty much all of modern AI. And right at the top, you're going to see these three names: Yoshua Bengio, Geoffrey Hinton, and Jan LeCun. You've probably heard them called the godfathers of AI, and for good reason. For decades, they championed an approach that, honestly, a lot of people in the field had written off as a dead end. But they stuck with it, and for their foundational work, they ended up sharing the 2018 Turing Award, which is basically the Nobel Prize for computing. So what was this big idea they championed? It's called deep learning. Their landmark 2015 paper in the journal Nature basically cemented it as the engine of modern AI. Think of it like this. Instead of trying to program a computer with a bunch of specific rules for every little thing, deep learning allows it to learn for itself just by finding patterns in massive amounts of data, kind of like how our brains learn. This concept, it's the foundation for almost everything else we're going to talk about today. But, a huge paradigm shift like this, it's never a solo act. It takes a community, a team, to build a revolution. And that brings us to our next chapter, the incredible power of working together. This leads us to what is, without a doubt, one of the most cited AI papers ever: deep residual learning for image recognition. The impact of this one single paper is just astounding. It was so revolutionary that it launched all 4 of its co-authors into the top 10 list of the most cited researchers. Think about that. One paper, 4 authors, all in the top 10. That is just incredible. So who was on the stream team? Well, the collaboration was built around a core group led by the first author, Kai-Ming He. His work on this paper was, and I mean this, absolutely pivotal for the field of computer vision. He was joined by Jen Soon, a brilliant researcher whose contributions were just immense, not just to this paper, but to the entire field before his untimely passing in 2022. Then you've got Xiaoxing Ren, who is a perfect example of this research's real-world impact. He took his expertise from the lab and brought it to industry, where he's now leading autonomous driving development at NIO. And rounding out this powerhouse team is Changyu Zhang, who keeps pushing the boundaries by focusing on making these powerful neural networks efficient enough to run on the devices we all use every day, like our smartphones. Okay, so we've met the team. What on earth did they create that was so important? They created something called ResNet, which stands for Residual Network. And look, the key thing to get here is that this wasn't just another small improvement. This was a completely new way of building things that solved a massive problem that was holding the entire field back. All right, here's the simple version of how it worked. There was this big problem, right? Researchers thought, hey, let's make our AI smarter by making the networks deeper. Just add more and more layers. But here's the crazy part. The deeper they got, the worse they performed. It was like they started to forget what they'd learned in the earlier layers. ResNet's solution was just brilliant. They added these shortcuts or skip connections. Imagine it like a highway that lets the most important information just bypass some of the local roads, ensuring the core message gets through to the end. This one elegant trick allowed them to build networks that were hundreds, even thousands of layers deep, completely shattering previous records and, revolutionizing computer vision. And this right here is the key takeaway. The story of ResNet, and you see this with other huge papers too, like Attention is All You Need, which, by the way, gave us the transformer architecture that powers things like ChatGPT. It all proves that modern AI isn't built in a vacuum. It's built on shared discovery. Okay, so we have the paradigm of deep learning and these amazing collaborative breakthroughs. But what was the fuel? What catalyst was needed to really ignite these ideas and turn them into the world-changing force they are today?
Well, a huge part of that catalyst came from the vision of Fei-Fei Li. She's often called the mother of computer vision, and for good reason. She recognized that for these deep learning models to truly learn, they needed data. And not just a little data, a mind-boggling amount of high-quality, labeled data.
So what did she do? She led the creation of ImageNet, a colossal dataset with over 14 million images, all painstakingly labeled by human beings. To put that in perspective, nothing on this scale had ever even been attempted before. It became the rich, vast training ground that the deep learning revolution was desperate for. And why does this matter to you? Because the ImageNet effect is literally everywhere. It was the dataset that enabled the 2012 breakthrough of AlexNet, which is seen as the big bang moment for modern AI. The principles proven on ImageNet are now in the perception systems of self-driving cars, they're in the camera on your phone, and they're even in AI systems that help doctors diagnose diseases earlier and more accurately. Another critical catalyst was education. And you have to mention Andrew Wang here. His work with Coursera completely democratized AI knowledge, making these incredibly complex concepts accessible to millions of students and developers around the globe. This created the global talent pool that was needed to actually turn these breakthroughs into reality. So when we step back and look at the contributions of all 15 of these researchers, what's their collective legacy, and where does it point for the future? Their collective work is nothing less than the blueprint of our modern AI era. It's a story told in 3 parts, right? You have the establishment of the core paradigm of deep learning, then the proof of the incredible power of collaboration on breakthroughs like ResNet, and finally, finding the catalysts, like ImageNet, to take these ideas from the lab to a truly global impact. Their foundational research continues to inspire the next wave of innovation, from multimodal AI to the critical pursuit of safe and ethical systems. And it leaves us with one crucial question. These 15 minds architected our present. So who is going to build our future?